start off, could you introduce yourself and give us a bit of a background about your film, Always Carry a Bible?
Okay, hello. My name is Rhyan Elliott. I'm a senior here at George Mason University, majoring in film and video studies with a concentration in screenwriting. I'm the writer and director of Always Carry a Bible, which is an experimental portrayal of police brutality from the role of a bystander. So essentially, we're situated with this man who is the bystander, and we're visually kind of seeing what he is, but there's this multi-narrative part where we're also aurally situated with these events transpiring in another room.
Okay. And as the writer and director, what are some of the influences that drove your thought process into creating such a marvelous work of expression?
So in constructing and creating Always Carry a Bible, it pretty much just started in my mind with like this image of a man sitting in a chair in this red room smoking, and then from that image I sort of built up the story. I tried to explore and navigate the world he was in. So it came to this point where I kept hearing the sounds of this in another room. There was something happening. It was clearly horrific to me, but I wasn't sure like what was the story there. And eventually I kind of constructed it into this social commentary where I was like, you know, with police brutality, there's this role of the perpetrator versus the victim. And I think with that, it creates this dynamic of a group of people supporting one side and a group of people supporting the other side. However, there's also this other role of the bystander, the person who doesn't say anything, the person who doesn't contribute or react at all to what's happening. And so I kind of wanted to situate the audience in that role of where, you know, there's this bystander who's not doing anything. Who are you when you're like responding to that sort of like, so yeah.
Okay. And as I was watching this film, I noticed that it had no distinct dialogue and only relied on sound and visuals to convey the message. What motivated you on that decision?
So I think that with the film, visually, it's kind of appealing to the eye. It's very like the contrasting colors of like red and blue. So I kind of wanted the audience to feel mesmerized by what's happening like physically in the space of the man. I wanted it to be sort of, I guess, distracting of what's happening, what's unfolding in the other room. Because at first it's just like this playful banter kind of happening, and it's just this man smoking. So at first maybe it's a little boring, but as the events transpire, it's like, oh, there's something violent taking place. And so I kind of wanted it to be obvious that this man clearly isn't reacting to what's happening around him. I wanted it to be obvious that he was sort of distracting himself from the world from what's happening in the world around him. So I guess visually, I wanted to have that contrast of there's this whole element of a space that we're in, but that isn't necessarily important to what's unfolding in the room next to his. And then so with the sound was especially important because I had to construct this whole story where there is this violent thing that is like transforming from this innocence to tragedy, essentially. So I kind of just wanted to have this multi-narrative that was contrasting. Yeah, I don't know if that answered the question at all.
Yeah, I think it answers it pretty well.
Okay.
What would you say is the most challenging part of the production of Always Carry a Bible?
So for Always Carry a Bible, we actually filmed it all in like one long take. So essentially there's no cuts in the film. So going into it, my director of photography, who was Alicia Rodriguez, we kind of had an idea of what we were going to do once we actually filmed. There were certain shots that we wanted and certain beats that we were going to hit. But as we actually got to production, we decided that we were only going to film all in one day for 12 hours. But like once we actually started filming, it was like, okay, this clearly is not working at all. And I think we spent probably about 6 hours of the day just trying to figure out how to make it work. So I think the hardest part was just being faced with that challenge of making this work and getting it done, and then also being scared that this might not even like actually happen. You know, this might not even be a work of art that is even created. It could just be something that lives on paper. So I think just trying to navigate constructing this film physically in this small space was definitely hard. And it took us, we ended up actually taking 15 takes of the film. And the film's like 5.5 minutes. So it was like 15 5.5 minute long takes. And then none of them actually ended up perfect. But, you know, we eventually were able to come up with, something that we were satisfied with. And at the end of the day, it was like late. Everyone had to go. So I think just, just actually filming it was terrifyingly hard. Yeah.
Okay. And why do you feel like events such as Best of Film are important for film majors?
Okay. Best of Film at Mason is a really great opportunity for filmmakers to not only network, but they get to showcase their work to the community. It's an opportunity for filmmakers to see who else is making work, but to also be recognized. And I think it's very important as filmmakers and aspiring filmmakers to let yourself be able to become known and get known and be visible in the filmmaking world at large. So it's just a really great way to network and to showcase your artistic expression.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. As a striving filmmaker whose film recently gained outstanding recognition, what piece of advice can you give to anyone who's working on becoming a filmmaker?
To people who are working on becoming a filmmaker, I think it's very important that you establish a group of people who you not only trust, but like want to go far with, people that you want to, as my professor calls it, grow horizontally with. It's important to have a support system of people who understand the filmmaking process, who understand the need for artistic creation and expression, people who are willing to give you feedback on your work. So I think establishing a team of people behind you who are going to support you and want to see you grow is incredibly important. And then with that, I think just giving yourself and committing to making time to develop your artistic expression and to put energy behind your work is also very important. So just allowing yourself time and space to create is very important. So yeah.